I caught my reflection in the hotel bathroom mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Hollow eyes, unwashed hair, wearing the same shirt for 3 days. 6 months ago, I was living in a 4-bedroom house with a husband who worshipped me. Now I was paying $89 a night at the Days Inn, eating vending machine dinners, and Googling how to win your husband back after affair. Nathan had kicked me out, my soulmate, my everything. The man I'd blown up my entire life for had looked at me over breakfast and said, "This isn't working, you need to go." Just like that. Like I was nothing. My name is Rachel, and I'm 38 years old. 8 months ago, I filed for divorce from my husband of 15 years because I'd found true love. 8 months ago, I was flying high on the promise of a new life with a man who understood me. 8 months ago, I was the stupidest woman alive. To understand how I destroyed everything, you need to understand how dead I felt inside my marriage. Michael and I met in college. He was studying engineering, I was in marketing. He was stable, reliable, everything my chaotic childhood had taught me to value. When he proposed after 5 years of dating, I said yes because that's what you do when a good man wants to marry you. Our wedding was perfect. Our house was perfect. Our daughters, Sophia, now 15, and Lily, 13, were perfect. From the outside, we were the family everyone envied. From the inside, I was drowning. Michael loved me the way he loved his favorite coffee mug, reliable, functional, always there when he needed it. We had sex on Saturday nights, watched the same 3 TV shows, ate dinner at 6:30 sharp. He'd kiss me goodbye in the morning, come home at 5:15, ask about my day without really listening to the answer. "How was book club?" he'd ask, scrolling through his phone. "I quit book club 6 months ago," I'd say. "That's nice, honey." I became invisible in my own life. A ghost who packed lunches and folded laundry and scheduled dentist appointments. A woman who could disappear for days, and no one would notice as long as the house kept running. Then Nathan joined my yoga studio. He was everything Michael wasn't. Spontaneous where Michael was predictable. Passionate where Michael was lukewarm. He saw me, really saw me, in a way I hadn't been seen in years. "You have the most beautiful laugh," he told me after class one day. "But there's sadness behind it." When was the last time Michael had noticed my laugh? Or my sadness? It started with coffee after yoga. Just friends, I told myself. Just someone to talk to who actually heard my words. Nathan was separated from his wife, understood the loneliness of a dead marriage. We compared stories, laughed about our similar situations, found comfort in shared misery. My ex used to schedule our conversations, he told me, 15 minutes after dinner to discuss household logistics. Michael put sex on his Google Calendar, I admitted. Saturday, 9 p.m. Like it's a dentist appointment. We laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was tragic. 2 people starving for connection, finding it in each other. The first time we kissed, I felt alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. Like color returning to a black and white world. His hands in my hair, his mouth on mine. The way he whispered my name like a prayer. "This is wrong," I said, pulling away. "So is wasting your life with someone who doesn't see you," he replied. I went home that night and watched Michael eat dinner while reading work emails. Watched him pat my shoulder absently when I tried to tell him about my day. Watched him fall asleep during the movie I'd picked, snoring softly while I sat there feeling like a stranger in my own home. The affair became my oxygen. Nathan made me feel desired, interesting, worth pursuing. He texted me poetry, brought me flowers just because, planned elaborate dates that didn't involve checking his phone every 5 minutes. "Run away with me," he'd whisper in stolen moments. "We could start over. Be happy." And God help me, I believed him. The lying was easier than it should have been. Michael barely noticed when I started having evening yoga classes or girls' nights. He was relieved, probably. Less pressure to pretend interest in my existence. But the guilt ate at me. Every time Sophia asked why I seemed distracted, every time Lily hugged me goodnight, every time Michael did something quietly kind, fixing my car without being asked, bringing home my favorite ice cream, I felt like a monster. "I can't do this anymore," I told Nathan after 6 months. "I need to tell him." "Good," Nathan said. "Tell him. Choose us. Choose happiness." The night I confessed, Michael didn't yell, didn't throw things, just sat there looking at me like I was a stranger who'd broken into his house. A week before I kissed Nathan, Michael came home early with cupcakes from the girls' favorite bakery. Red velvet for Sophia, chocolate for Lily, lemon for me because he remembered I'd mentioned craving them at breakfast. "Just because," he said, kissing my forehead. I remember thinking, this is nice. Then texting Nathan under the table while Michael helped Lily with her math homework. "How long?" he asked quietly. 6 months. "Do you love him?" "Yes." He nodded slowly, processing this information like the engineer he was. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know," I lied. I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted Nathan, I wanted passion and adventure, and someone who saw me as more than a household appliance. We tried counseling for 2 months. Michael approached it like a project to be fixed, showing up with spreadsheets of relationship goals and action items. He started leaving work early, planning date nights, asking about my day with forced enthusiasm. But it was too late. I was already gone, my heart living in Nathan's apartment, counting the days until I could join it. "You're still seeing him," Michael said one night, not a question. "We're just friends now." "Don't lie to me, Rachel. Not anymore." He was right. I was still texting Nathan, still meeting him when I could, still planning our future together. The reconciliation was a sham, a way to ease my guilt while I figured out my exit strategy. When I finally told Michael I was leaving 2 weeks before Christmas, I expected drama. Tears. Begging. Instead, he just looked tired. "What about the girls?" "They can stay here during the week. I'll see them on weekends." "Where will you live?" "With Nathan." He flinched at the name. "His apartment's too small for the girls." "We'll figure it out." But I hadn't figured out anything. I was so high on the fantasy of my new life, I hadn't considered the reality. How my daughters would look at me. How our families would react. How starting over at 38 would actually feel. Moving in with Nathan was supposed to be the beginning of my real life. The life I deserved. The life where I was cherished and desired and seen. For 3 months, it was everything I'd dreamed. We stayed in bed until noon on weekends, took spontaneous trips, made love in the afternoon. He wrote me songs on his guitar, cooked elaborate meals, told me I was beautiful 50 times a day. "See," he'd say, holding me after sex, "this is how it's supposed to be." But paradise has an expiration date. The first crack came when my family found out. Michael had kept our secret, protecting me even as I destroyed him. But his silence couldn't last forever. My mother called one night, voice like ice. "Is it true? You left Michael for another man?" The judgment in her voice made me defensive. "You don't understand, Mom. My marriage was dead." "Your marriage had 2 children in it," she snapped. "Did you think about them while you were playing teenager?" My sisters were worse. The supportive network I'd always relied on crumbled overnight. Phone calls went unanswered. Invitations stopped coming. Even my father, who never took sides, told me I'd disappointed him deeply. "Fuck them," Nathan said, pulling me close. "We don't need anyone but each other." But we did need other people. I needed my sisters when Sophia started refusing to talk to me. I needed my mother when Lily asked why I loved Nathan more than Daddy. I needed my friends when the loneliness of being a social pariah started weighing on me. Nathan tried to be supportive, but cracks started showing in his perfect facade. He'd get irritated when I cried about the girls, impatient when I worried about the divorce proceedings, distant when the reality of dating a woman with baggage became clear. "I thought you were leaving all that behind," he said one night after I'd spent an hour on the phone with a sobbing Lily. "They're my children, Nathan. I know, this isn't what I pictured." What he pictured was the fun, sexy woman from yoga class, not the guilt-ridden mother dealing with the aftermath of her choices. The woman who cried herself to sleep, who checked her phone obsessively for messages from daughters who increasingly didn't want to talk to her. The final straw came when his ex-wife called. The separation he'd painted as mutual, she'd kicked him out for cheating. The loneliness he'd described, self-inflicted by a pattern of affairs, the connection we shared, the same one he'd shared with the woman before me. "She's lying," he said when I confronted him. "She's bitter, trying to ruin what we have." But I saw it then. The practiced words, the calculated emotion. The same way he'd probably explained away his marriage to me. The same way he'd explain me away to the next woman. "I gave up everything for you," I whispered. "I didn't ask you to," he said. And he was right. He'd just made it seem like the only choice. The morning he kicked me out, I'd suggested couples counseling. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same solution I'd rejected with Michael, now desperately offering to Nathan. "This is too much drama," he said over breakfast. "I need peace in my life." "Please, we can work through this." "There's nothing to work through, Rachel. It's just not fun anymore." Fun? Like I was an amusement park ride he'd grown bored of. I thought I was trading up. I thought I was finally choosing passion. But all I did was trade a man who kept his promises for a man who broke his, a man who loved me on my worst days for a man who only wanted my best, a husband for a player, a home for a hotel room. I packed my things while he went to work. 15 years of marriage had filled a house. 6 months of an affair fit in 2 suitcases. Standing in his apartment one last time, I realized I'd traded everything real for something that was never more than smoke. The hotel room became my purgatory. Too ashamed to call my family, too proud to beg Michael for help, too broken to figure out what came next. I lasted a week before I went to see the girls. Michael answered the door, and the pain in his eyes made me want to die. He'd lost weight, aged years in months. But he let me in, because that's who he was, decent, even when I didn't deserve it. "They're upstairs," he said quietly. "Lily will be happy to see you." "And Sophia?" His silence was answer enough. Seeing my daughter's rooms, beds I hadn't tucked them into, clothes I hadn't washed, homework I hadn't helped with, broke something inside me. I'd abandoned them for a man who'd abandoned me the moment things got difficult. That's when the campaign began. Not planned, exactly, just desperate. Cooking Michael's favorite meals because I needed to feel useful, cleaning the house because it gave me purpose, leaving notes because I didn't know how else to say I'm sorry. He was polite but distant, letting me see the girls but not engaging. Building walls I'd taught him were necessary. "The divorce will be final next month," he reminded me one evening. "Does it have to be?" The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "Yes," he said simply. "It does." But I couldn't accept that. Couldn't accept that I'd destroyed my life for nothing. So I pushed harder. Dressed the way he liked. Suggested counseling. Tried to seduce him one pathetic evening when the girls were at sleepovers. "Don't," he said, gently removing my hands from his chest. "Please don't." The rejection stung more than Nathan's abandonment. Because Michael had loved me, really loved me, and I'd thrown it away for excitement, for passion, for a man who saw me as entertainment. Last week I broke down completely, sobbed on the kitchen floor, begging him to reconsider, promising to be better, to appreciate him, to never take him for granted again. He helped me up, handed me tissues, made me tea, still taking care of me, even now. "I loved you for 15 years, he said quietly. "But you taught me I wasn't enough. I can't unknow that. He was right. I'd taught him he was boring, predictable, less than. How do you come back from that? How do you undo the moment when you showed someone exactly how little they meant to you? I'm staying at my sister's now. She took pity on me, though she makes her disgust clear. I see the girls twice a week, supervised by judgment and awkward silence. Sophia still won't talk to me beyond single-word answers. Lily tries to pretend everything's normal, which almost hurts more. Michael's moving on. Dating, I think, though he's too polite to say. Some woman from his office who probably appreciates his stability, his reliability, his quiet, steady love, all the things I couldn't value until they were gone. Nathan's already with someone new. I saw them at the coffee shop near the yoga studio. She looked young, fresh, unburdened by children or divorce or the weight of bad decisions. He held her hand the way he used to hold mine, looked at her like she was the answer to all his problems. I wanted to warn her, to tell her about the expiration date on his attention, the way soulmate becomes too much drama the moment reality intrudes. But she wouldn't listen. I wouldn't have listened. Sometimes I drive by the house, my house, Michael's house, the house where my children live without me, see him mowing the lawn or washing the car. Ordinary tasks I used to find so boring. Now I'd give anything to be bored with him again, to have Saturday night sex scheduled on the calendar, to be ignored while he reads his emails. At least he was mine to be ignored by. The divorce will be final in 3 weeks. Michael's giving me more than I deserve. Alimony, shared custody, dignity I haven't earned. He could have destroyed me in court, but he didn't. Because he's decent. Because he's good. Because he's everything I convinced myself wasn't enough. I threw away a man who loved me for a man who loved the idea of me, traded a partner for a player, exchanged boring stability for exciting abandonment. The hotel room mirror was right. I don't recognize the woman I've become. The woman who had everything and threw it away. The woman who destroyed her family for 6 months of passion. The woman who learned too late that boring is just another word for safe. That predictable means dependable. That being loved quietly is still being loved. Michael will be fine. He'll find someone who appreciates him, who sees his steadiness as strength, not weakness. The girls will heal, though they'll never trust me the same way. Even Nathan's moved on, probably telling his new girlfriend about his crazy ex who got too clingy. Only I'm stuck, trapped between the life I destroyed and the life that never existed. Calling it karma feels too simple. This is what happens when you convince yourself you deserve more than what you have. You end up with exactly what you deserve. Nothing. I looked in the mirror this morning and saw someone I wouldn't trust with a goldfish, let alone a marriage. The same mirror that showed me a stranger in that hotel room now shows me exactly who I am. A woman who had a man who'd love her through anything and threw him away for a man who couldn't love her through breakfast. And the worst part? She's all I have left.